Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a walk cycle for this Google Android. I'm going to save the walk cycle in the NLA Editor. I'm going to get the Android to follow a path repeating the walk cycle. I'm even going to add a wave as an action as well. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to press A to select all the bones in the armature. I'm going to go to the pose menu. I'm going to clear transform location, clear transform rotation, just to start with an unposed armature. Okay, now to create my first pose, I'm going to select the leg, G to grab, move it forward, select the other leg, G to grab, move it back. I need to select both legs, so I'm holding down Shift. I've selected both legs and I'm going to save that pose by copying it. So I've copied the pose. I'm in frame 1. I want to insert a keyframes, location, rotation. I'm going to go to frame 20 and repeat, but from now on I'm going to use the failsafe method of selecting the keyframe available. And I'm going to go to frame 10. Now I'm going to paste in the pose that I copied, which is in here, but X flipped so that it swaps the legs round. Again, I'm using the failsafe method of insert a keyframe available, and if I set the total length of animation to 20, I press play. We've got the most basic walk cycle you can have, but by frame 20 the legs will come back to the starting position, and that's a very, very simple walk cycle. Okay, if I pause that. How do I save the walk cycle so that I can use it in the NLA Editor? Well, if I go into the NLA Editor, so I'm changing the properties window to the NLA Editor, there we see our animation. Now, any animation can be frozen by snowflaking it, and it is then stored as an action strip in the NLA Editor. At the moment, my walk cycle is 20 frames long, but I want the animation to be 100 frames long, and over that 100 frames I want to keep repeating the walk cycle. So how do I do that? Well, if you click this little plus symbol here, you get the properties for the NLA Editor. The track that it's in at the moment is called NLA track. I can change that name to NLA track walking. And the strip, the active strip, I can change its name to walk. And if I click on here, the names are displayed. At the moment our walk goes from frame 1 to frame 20. How do we get it to run over the 100 frames? If you come down here, and there is for action clip, a repeat setting. So if I repeat that 5 times, it now it'll repeat that from frame 1 to frame 96. That will do, it's near enough. And so if I play that now, it'll play beyond frame 20, keep repeating. Let's pause that. Now I've got the walk cycle repeating, I'm going to get the Android to walk along a path. I'm going to select the root bone, G to grab, and I'm going to move the Android back to make space for the path. And I'm going to grab the camera and the light as well. Okay, I'm going to add curve path. I'm going to rotate numeric RN 90 degrees, enter. To alter the path, I need to go into edit mode, grab the handles that define the path. Start there, grab, I'm going to walk the Android into the camera, G to grab, okay, that's the path. Again, selecting in object mode, selecting the armature, and then holding down shift, selecting the path. I can create a parent-child relationship with Control and P and follow path, and without keyframing now, that should follow the path. Okay, one of the problems is getting the leg speed to match the speed that the Android is traveling. At the moment it's too slow. The leg speed is too slow, so it makes it look like it's floating. Now there's a couple of ways you can edit the walk cycle, speed it up. You can select the strip and then in edit start tweaking, and then you can go back into the dope sheet and move the keyframes to speed up the walk cycle. The other way of doing it is you can scale the length of the strip. So if I scale it by 0.5, it'll half the length of the strip, which will double the speed of the walk cycle. I need to repeat it more times now because it's only half the length, so 10 times now it'll be repeated. Now if we rewind and play, his legs are going much quicker. If we pause that, now I'm going to create a wave which I'm going to save in the NLA so that there'll be two strips to play around with. Okay, I need to really switch off the follow path because it's going to get in the way as I try and create the wave. Easiest way to do that is to go into the dope sheet, open up here, click the eye, and if I played now it wouldn't follow the path. Okay, creating the wave. I'm going to insert a keyframe in the starting position with the arm down, and just to be different I'm going to go into properties. Now properties for the bone, I'm only going to rotate the bone when waving, so I'm going to right click here and insert keyframes. Then I'm going to go to frame 10, go to frame, make the change. I'm going to do R to rotate and put the arm there and insert a keyframe. Insert keyframes. I want it in the same pose at frames 20 and 30. Go to frame, insert keyframes, and at frame 30 insert keyframes, and in between those, frame 15, I want to rotate, R to rotate, move the arm up to wave, insert keyframes, and the same at frame 25. Go to frame, R to rotate, make the change, and insert keyframes. And finally at frame 40 we go back to the starting position, and it's probably the easiest way of doing that is just to remove clear transform rotation and insert a keyframe there. Okay, if we rewind and play we should get a nice little wave. Okay, now how do I save that as an action? Into the NLA Editor. Now there's two things I can snowflake here. The follow path which I don't want to store as an action, and this one here, these are the keyframes that I just put in for the wave. So I snowflake this one, and I'll call the active track NLA track wave, and I'll call the active strip wave, and if I drag this out, close this, does it want to close? Just about. And now if I zoom out, there's my 100 frames, there's my wave. I can just grab this and move it down the timeline, and let's have a look at what that looks like. Oops, got to turn the follow path back on, so I need to go back into the dope editor, dope sheet, and put that eye back on. Now shove this out the way a minute and press play and see what we get. He walks along, he waves, and that's it. Okay, I put the beginning file, the end file, links to other resources, all at my website, freemovies.co.uk, at the Blender channel there. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.